Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Sal Martinez. I am one of 15 LA County Probation Commissioners appointed by the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors. I am an appointee of Supervisor Hilda Solis for the 1st District. Thank you so much for being here. To the parents in the room, a small disclaimer: this class is only about the juvenile justice system and what happens when the youth, your son and your daughter, are detained and they become wards of the court. In other words, they become custody of Los Angeles County. Currently, we have 2 juvenile halls and 8 juvenile camps. The difference is that the juvenile halls is where kids get sent if they're picked up or arrested. And a juvenile camp is where they go to serve time if they are sentenced. We will talk about all that. We will share all that. But I always like to let the parents know that there is no good story to tell. So this is for the kids today, about the realities of being detained and being sent to a juvenile hall. Again, I want to thank the LAPD for this opportunity. I grew up in the city of Boyle Heights, and it's always my pleasure to give back to my community. I've always been in the business of rebuilding lives, and I've always wanted to help those that were once like me. Having said that, today's title for this Choices and Consequences class is sort of like the sign of the times. So I titled it Lockdown. What is lockdown? I'm going to kind of help myself to kind of read it out for you a little bit here. So lockdown, in the term of lockdown, is the confinement of prisoners to their cells for all or most of the day as a temporary security measure. There's a blackboard for all the commissioners to see when they walk into a juvenile hall, that tells us a breakdown and the reasons for many things that are going on within the facility. This is the grim reality of what happens when you hold over 345 minors, boys and girls ages 8 to 25, in a juvenile hall for a long period of time. So when I walk into a juvenile hall as a commissioner and I do my daily tours or my inspections of the facility to make sure that the kids have the basic minimum. And the basic minimums are, of course, a place to sleep, 3 meals a day, a little bit of recreation so that they're able to stretch, their limbs and their muscles, and of course, going to school. Yes, you heard me right. Going to school is mandatory. And this is not, oh, sir, I don't feel good today. No, everyone goes to school every day, of course, except for Saturdays and Sundays. But when I walk in, there is a blackboard, and it has several information for me. And it starts with youth on youth violence, fights in school, fights in unit housing, that's where they live and sleep, and assault in school, assault in unit housing, assault on staff or guards. And these numbers that I'm going to share with you reflects the last 7 months from today. So the last 7 months, this is what youth on youth violence means: kids, boys or girls, attacking each other, and they had 522 incidents. So that was 522 fights or some type of assault between youth on youth violence. The second one is fights in school. They had 105 fights in school. That means anywhere. It could be in the classroom, it could be during science class, PE, anything, but it has to be part of the day that they're in school. So for the last 7 months, they had 105 fights in the classroom. Fights in the unit housing, meaning where they live. They're assigned to a housing unit, so they have either a room or they sleep in a big day room. And so they had 255 fights were reported in the housing unit where the kids live. Assaults in school. There was 33 assaults on staff. That means the kids, the students, boys or girls, assaulted their teacher, assaulted a mental health employee, assaulted somebody else that wasn't a minor, or somebody in that has to do with providing a service in there. Assault in unit housing, 65. That means that if a social worker came to see you in your room, or actually they don't see you in your room, they have a room within the housing unit there where you can talk to your counselor one-on-one, where you can talk to a mental health specialist or probation officer or whoever is part of the county family that is keeping some kind of record on your history or the way you behave. So 65 of those people that do some kind of service for you while you're in custody were assaulted. Assault on guards, those are the detention service officers that watch the kids throughout the 24 hours that you're in custody. 132 guards were assaulted by kids. So let me tell you, if a kid, 132 kids are willing to assault a guard, I can understand why they had 522 fights. Excuse me. Again, these numbers reflect 7 months, totaling almost 1,100 incidents in active areas of the juvenile hall. That means that there is probably no safe place throughout the whole juvenile hall for anybody. So I think everybody that's in custody today is probably having a real bad day. The process is very simple. It's my advice to everybody that that gets a little taste of being in a juvenile hall on a first offender. That could be something simple as shoplifting or not going to school or ditching or running away from home. Once you become part of our system, once you're arrested and we hold you for about a day or two, if you didn't learn your lesson and saw the reality of being in custody with real active gang member kids or real active dangerous boys and girls, then it's safe to say that you won't want to do anything that's going to put you in that place ever again. My advice to everyone that is there for the first time is to remember that the best advice is to walk away. Always remember that. You have that freedom, and that freedom gives you the right to walk away from anything that you know that is wrong. Of course, you have a mind, and that mind should not be under any pressure from anyone to force you to do anything that you may regret for the rest of your life. I'm only able to deal with kids in custody. I love the opportunity that the LAPD PAL gives me to reach out to you and let you know that that is not a place for you. And I'm sure if your parents are sitting with you, they don't wish that upon you. So the sentencing that the LA County hands the kids vary with different things, but we have the right to do a couple of things depending on your crime or depending on what you got arrested for. So there's several things that we can do. One is, and I'll read some of them, and then I'll share a little bit about what that means. Sentencing you, these are the options. We can place you on probation. That means we send you home. We can send you to a juvenile court work program. That means you'll be out there picking up trash on Saturdays and Sundays at designated areas in the city. If you broke the window, you did some kind of damage to somebody else's property, then we can hold you for restitution for those damages. That means you have to pay them back. The other is we can make you pay a fine for what you did. Order you to undergo counseling. Submit to drug and alcohol testing. Submit to police requests of any type of search on your person and seize anything on your person. Impose a strict curfew and restrict you from kind of hanging out with anybody that the court doesn't think you should be hanging out with, including gangs. Order you to a group foster placement. That means remove you from the home and put you somewhere else. Or detain you in a juvenile detention facility for any given period of time. Now, on the slides that I'm providing, you'll get to see some of the pictures that are here. This is shoes and a door, and this is a long corridor of a unit. So when the shoes are outside, that means that the kids are inside the room. And then the guards walk up and down this corridor and they kind of count you. And as they're counting you, they're also making sure that you are safe, that you didn't try to hurt yourself, hang yourself, cut yourself, or any type of harm to your person. And it's their responsibility to do that while you're in a room. They walk up and down every 8 minutes to 10 minutes and make sure that you're safe in there. Now let's say that you do get sent. The judge says, you know what, boy or girl, we're going to keep you. And we're going to keep you because we think what you committed, it deserves this type of detainment. So you lose your freedom. And the next process of that is what we call intake. Intake is just like it sounds. It's you are being brought in, and I will go over that with you on the intake part, and I'll look away a little bit and I'll look at you. Intake is the booking unit. So a minor can remain here in intake for 3 to 7 days before being assigned housing. What that means is we put you in this big room with one TV, and you're going to be there for the next 3 to 7 days until we find a bed for you in any of the many units that we have. And the units start with like the alphabet. Unit A, B, Unit C, D, Unit E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, and N. So that's how the units are. So you can figure the whole alphabet. Those are units, and every unit houses about 20 kids. So currently they have about 300 to 345 kids in custody. So it's kind of hard to find a bed for any new kids unless they're going home. Then those that are waiting, they get assigned a housing unit. Most of you will go to general population if you are not of a serious type of crime. But if you are and you committed a high profile crime, we have what we call a special housing unit. The short version of that is the SHU. And if you remain in custody after court, Then based on whatever assessment we determine the nature of your crime and the security risk level, you'll be assigned either general population or the SHU, which is a security housing unit. Most crimes do not dictate a higher security housing unit. That's the scary part, and I'll share that a little more with you. A special housing is reserved for those kids that are of a violent nature. That means predators, sex offenders, mental issues, extreme security risk, and charged with a crime as an adult. So sometimes, depending on the assessment, those kids will slip through the cracks and they could end up in general population. And what happens with that is that you have kids that have been in the system more than once or twice, and they know the system, and those do not want to be in a security housing unit. They don't want to be anywhere else other than the general population, meaning they want to be able to go to school, play in the big yards that the juvenile halls have. And I'm just going to check on the time here real quick. Okay, so we're almost down to 10 minutes. Along with that, I want to share with you that in some of the slides that you're going to get to see, this is a room of a kid in custody. And mind you, we search everyone, and somehow you'll get to see this slide later, and this is a lot of tagging in one of the rooms. We search you on your way home from on the way back to your unit from school or from the doctor or from wherever, but contraband is something that we're still not able to control as much. So a lot of the rooms have a lot of graffiti, gang graffiti. So if they're able to slip a marker, a pencil in there or anything, they're able to slip anything that they can get their hands on to make some type of a weapon. There's a lot of bright side to what kids can do while they're in custody, and that is that we get, probably before sentencing any kid that's in custody, we get roughly 20 to 25 days to kind of really talk to you, assess you, and figure out some kind of plan to put you on a different path, to make you see that what you're doing now hasn't worked, and that you give us an opportunity in that little short period of those 25 days to try to help a problem that you've had probably for the last 6-7 years of your young adult life. And if you ask anybody, it's hard to change the habits of somebody that has lived in a type of circumstance, in a situation that is a rough community, an impoverished community, a community with no real resources for opportunities to have some type of alternative, some other thing other than, you know, going to school, walking through a neighborhood with 30 gangs, and hopefully you'll make it home and not have to feel that you need to join a tag crew, a gang or something for protection. And so I know that you're in the right place with the LAPD, pal, because they have an abundance of resources, and their hand of help can reach far and wide into helping you, not just for this class, but for the long term that you're in there. A lot of the kids, I'm happy to hear that after being part of this program, they joined the LAPD cadets, or they joined other programs that are offered at school, and that they're able to monitor and help you. So it's always a pleasure for me to come and talk to you.